I'm what we call a basic scientist. I'm not in the clinic. I'm in the step that you would call before the clinic. We call it the preclinical trial. What we try to do is understand what is it that makes a lung cancer a lung cancer, what makes it tick, what makes it different from the normal cells, but also by being different, it probably has some different vulnerabilities. And that's what we're trying to find. What is it that these cells can't live without? And that's an area that the clinic can't go after because that's the unknown. So we're trying to understand what is it that makes a lung cancer cell or a tumor, but also what is it that they can't live without. And by understanding that cell at different levels, we'll be able to potentially find real vulnerabilities and then real therapies to attack them, and so that the cell would die, but not your normal cell. So we're trying to find this box of unknowns. What is it that the cells and the tumors have that your normal body doesn't need, but the tumors do, so that we can propose new therapies that would actually work, that would actually target very efficiently the tumor, but would not hurt the patient, would only attack the one thing we want to kill, which is the tumor, and keep your normal cells as happy as we can. The from LCFA helps fund a very important part of our research. So everything is broken into different projects. And the part that LCFA funds is actually one that would make the connection to the clinic. It helps me have one person working with me in the lab, really trying to understand if what we found before in the lab about the vulnerabilities of our tumors, if we can now treat them with the drugs we think would work, if we start seeing a difference. And this is really that transition that we could move on to the clinic and to say, yes, we have a good hypothesis, we have tested it in the basic setting, and now we are treating tumors with the drugs that we think would work. And that's what LCFA is helping me do. And hopefully, if we get the results that we wish for, we can then make suggestions to move it to the clinic. It's very important to think about what you're doing, because if you thought about it well, you're more likely to learn something. And some half negatives could actually help the positive. And sometimes we need to understand what doesn't work and why it doesn't work to get to what works. And I think both parts are important of the discovery. It's a bit like growing up. Children need to learn what works and what it doesn't work in order to get their lives on the right track and to become a better person. Science is the same. We need to try left and right to find what actually works and helps us build up whatever that we are working towards. And in cancer, it's clear. So at least we know the end point that we're looking towards. The reason I actually contacted LCFA and I think eventually got their grant is that there is a clear vision in one of our particular projects. We do know that the patient group that could profit from what we are doing. We are trying to see if we are right. We're trying to move towards human tissue that we can actually start seeing what we predict would happen. And we're trying to put drugs that are already available. So actually, if our hypothesis is correct, the patients that could profit are clear, and the drugs that we could use should be already available. So we could sufficiently soon, assuming everything will work as we would have predicted, we could move to the clinic relatively soon. But of course, soon doesn't mean next month. It will take time to prove that we are right, to create enough evidence that would justify putting lives of people in the hands of this project, right? Because it is a person that will have to be tested for what we think will work. So there has to be work put into that. And I really am thankful for the donations, but also for the intermediates, which is LCFA, that brings the people together and makes these things possible.